Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I want you to picture a stage. The curtains pull back and the theater is suddenly bathed in this harsh, ink-shadowed light. We are stepping right into a grim, dark Gothic fable, looking at a psychological and philosophical transformation of truly epic proportions. We're going to be exploring the story of Brunhilde, but not just as your standard mythological figure. Instead, we're analyzing her journey as a profound exploration of the human psyche, tracking her dramatic shift from absolute, unquestioning obedience to ultimate self-mastery.
So imagine this Valkyrie standing on our cosmic stage. For eons, she has acted as nothing more than a mechanical siren for the All-Father's superego. She's this flawless foundation, right? A divine instrument whose only real purpose is to execute the will of the gods. But what actually happens when the instrument begins to feel? What happens when the slave morality of divine servitude starts to crack under the immense pressure of an awakening individual will?
Okay, let's dive right into this. Beneath her celestial vibrato, deep down in the absolute core of her being, burns the vaphrology. This is essentially a wavering fire of fate. It's her deeply repressed desire to break free from this stagnant martial harmony she's trapped in. Outwardly, she's going through the motions of the divine score, but inside, her nascent ego is whispering to her, urging her toward a terrifying yet completely necessary rebellion.
Act 1. The All-Father's Mechanical Siren. Our fable opens with her in a state of complete, total submission. She is the perfect daughter, the ultimate guardian of the dying gods, possessing the shimmering Valkyrie view where the past, present, and future are all just a single cosmic weave. Her power here is fundamentally sonic. It's her Galder, this incredibly potent, performative, sonic magic that basically serves as the audible resonance of divine authority. Think about it. Every sacred death on Midgard is a transaction mediated entirely by her throat. But here's the catch. Her voice isn't her own. It demands total submission to the Father's cosmic music, not her own. She is completely trapped in the ultimate slave morality, tethered to someone else's law.
Now, to break a cycle like that, a serious catalyst is required. Enter the demonic poodle. Yes, a poodle. But bear with me, because on one side of our stage, we have the All-Father. He's acting as the ultimate superego, right? Demanding stagnation and strict adherence to this dying, toxic rot of a cosmic order. On the other side is this poodle, a dark, contracted negation of the universe, acting directly as the id. Like a true Mephistopheles, this demonic catalyst brings sheer, unadulterated cynicism. He represents the essential, agonizing friction that is absolutely necessary to shatter her fragile, isolated ego and push her toward actual expansion.
Picture the poodle just pacing the stage, his ink-black eyes reflecting her own hidden desires. He taunts her, hissing through the dark, saying, "Your celestial choir is stagnant. Embrace the agonizing friction of a lived reality." See, he isn't some villain trying to tear her down. He's actually a guide. He is deliberately walking her through intense psychological pain, initiating her shamanic descent. Because as we'll see, true sovereignty cannot be found in static safety. It demands voluntary application against reality.
Moving on to Act 2, First Parable, the Dark Initiation. The stage here suddenly shifts into a chaotic sprawl. Driven by that internal vaphrology we talked about, she commits her original sin. She actually alters the frequency of the cosmic music, actively choosing her own hero over the God-favored warrior. This is massive. It's the ego's first violent break from the superego, and this brilliantly illustrates the alchemy of the fall. Her punishment is a brutal descent, a grounding of her divinity right into the hard flint of human experience. But actually, scratch that. This fall isn't a tragic end at all. It's a profound structural alchemy. She is moving from the lofty flight of the heavens to the grounded flint of Midgard. It's the harsh, necessary cure for her existential decay.
The primary casualty of this whole fall is her swan feather cloak. This cloak was literally her metaphysical vessel for soul flight. Losing it completely silences her celestial voice, replacing it with the jagged prose of mortal vengeance. Her soul is now heavily tethered to gravity. But here's the beautiful part. Beneath her heavy mortal armor, she secretly retains a single white feather. It acts as a metaphor for her hidden internal power, the flawless foundation of a sovereignty she just hasn't fully claimed yet. She's learning that the divine can be buried, sure, but it can never be truly extinguished.
All right, Act 3, Second Parable, the Cursed Cage. Now, what's really interesting here is how the panels of her life grow incredibly dark and cramped. She's placed into mortal confinement, weighed down by the cursed gold of the ring and Varnat. This heavy gold acts as a tether of pure greed, dragging her spirit down into the black hate of the id. But look at how she handles this confinement. Her domestic space transforms into what the source material brilliantly calls a magnificent absurdity. She takes her residual shamanic battle magic and transmutes it entirely into the act of weaving. Her loom becomes a secondary battlefield of fate. But she's still trapped. Her former glorious guardian role is totally suffocated by mundane social expectations, and her once divine voice degrades into what's known as wetter speech, used only to incite murder and betrayal. And then, the poodle returns to the stage, just ruthlessly mocking this magnificent absurdity. He laughs at her shamanic breath that once animated the iron of the psyche, pointing out that she's now reduced to a trapped bird, frantically beating its wings against the shadowy panel of destiny. He tells her the brutal, absolute truth: she must completely destroy the cage of broken oaths itself if she ever wants to escape this ultimate undoing.
Act 4, third parable, Fire of Solitude.
The lighting on our stage shifts dramatically now as she builds a literal firing sanctuary. And she doesn't build this out of romance, she builds it out of searing logic meant to incinerate the stench of the herd. This is the seventh solitude. This fire is a self-chosen sanctuary of pure intellectual independence. It serves as a strict boundary against the petty lies of the valleys, protecting her from the toxic influence of the All-Father's fading laws. In this space, she is shedding her divine conditioning like a layer of dead skin. She's not lighting this fire to find a husband, no way. She's doing it to test the endurance of any mortal who would even dare to approach her.
This brings us to a really fascinating philosophical clash. On one side, we have the traditional Wagnerian narrative, which relies heavily on what Nietzsche would absolutely call weak, life-denying lies of redemption through love. But Brunhilde, she entirely rejects this. She chooses the path of the Nietzschean sovereign free spirit, embracing the mindset of the Übermensch. She uses those flames for ultimate self-cleansing, actively burning away the old values of the father. She is absolutely no longer a daughter of law. She is rapidly becoming the wanderer of the heights.
Her ultimate act here, stepping directly into the pyre, is absolutely not a tragic suicide. It is amor fati, the brutal, unapologetic love of one's own fate beneath a great noon sky. It is the ultimate shamanic transformation, burning away all those heavy layers of shame and earthly repression. She is fully reclaiming the element of fire, realizing that it belongs to her and not to Wotan's decree. And finally, the final act, the sovereign free spirit. So, the crucial point is how she emerges from the smoke of that old world, having finally learned the hard, golden laughter of the heights. The dark initiation is complete, and she has perfectly synthesized the divine and the primal into true cosmic harmony. This marks a massive, profound shift in authority. Think about it. She once wore the swan feather cloak and wielded the spear of the Allfather, tools of someone else's martial order. Now, she snaps that spear in half. She completely trades her divine arsenal for a simple, gnarled walking stick. The wood of the pyre replaces the wings of the swan. She is now a wanderer, navigating the ridges of her own psyche completely alone and entirely self-mastered.
In this dramatic final monologue, she finally reclaims her divine voice, singing her own death song. But she isn't singing to the gods. She speaks directly into the darkness, addressing her own shadow, her own internal demons that have brought her to this exact moment. She says, "I seek no savior from the heavens. I am my own destiny, my own danger, and my own light." Every single word is a stroke of ink, redrawing her destiny as a sovereign choice, not a victim's end.
Her transformation gives us this incredibly powerful aphorism, echoing the exact style of Nietzsche's The Gay Science. She who snaps the spear of the gods to walk the ridges of her own psyche alone finds not the icy sorrow of the valleys, but the hard, golden laughter of the heights. It's incredible. She has taken the undoing of death and turned it into the becoming of a total legend.
Which brings us to the end of our Gothic stage play. We've watched a mechanical siren completely shatter her fragile ego against the agonizing friction of reality, only to emerge as an eternal psychopomp of her own soul. And honestly, it leaves us with this huge question. If the structures around you, even the seemingly divine ones, are actually just a cage, what fires must you personally walk through to find your own sovereign truth? How do you confront the magnificent absurdity of your own existence? Keep questioning that, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.